Hello, my name is Mark Goodacre, sitting in my office at Duke University at the moment. I was talking in my Jesus and the Gospels class today about the sisters of Jesus. And you might think it's one of those topics that's impossible to know anything about because they're not named in any of the Gospels. We know that Jesus had sisters because in Mark 6:3 you get this line, "Are not his sisters here with us?" It's very frustrating the way that the brothers are named, James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon, and the sisters aren't. And historical Jesus scholars really don't like it when we're ignorant. And when you're ignorant, you have to use your historical imagination and look around and just see what we can discover. Well, is there any chance that there are other early Christian texts that give us a name? Well, the Gospel of Philip does seem to mention one of Jesus' sisters as being called Mary. He says that there were three people who walked with the Lord. There was his mother, his sister, and his companion being Mary Magdalene. So does that therefore mean that one of Jesus' sisters was called Mary? And Epiphanius later on makes Jesus' sisters Mary and Salome. So does that help us out? Well, Richard Borkham points out that 47.7% of women that we know of from this period in this geographical area are called either Mary or Salome. So that would mean that there's a reasonable chance that at least one of them is called one of those names. I mean, Borkham himself says that because there's a 47.7% of women were called Mary or Salome, he then says there's a nearly 50% chance that Jesus' sisters were called Mary and Salome. But I don't think the stats are right there. It's that 47.7% are called either of those two things, but then if you put two together, the probability decreases that one's a Mary and one's a Salome. Nevertheless, it's a reasonable point that just on basic probability, those names could be there. There's one other wrinkle that makes the thing a bit more complicated, and that's that in Matthew's version of that same story, the rejection at Nazareth, he says, "Are not all his sisters here with us?" Does Matthew know that there's more than two? All his sisters. I wouldn't say all my siblings. I've got one brother and one sister. I would never say all my siblings. I would say the two. So I don't think we'd get that. I really wish, though, that these early Christian authors, gospel writers, had told us a bit more about the family of Jesus because it's one of those endlessly interesting topics.